just have one life. It's time to live and be yourself tonight. You gotta feel it. You just have one life. It's time to live and dance into the light. Your life is beautiful. You just have one life. It's time to live and free yourself tonight. You gotta feel it. You just have one life. It's time to live and dance into the light. Your life is beautiful. 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 Life is
fitness pioneers starting back in 1991. I helped launch the fitness industry while traveling internationally, meeting fans worldwide to share my style of fitness to the bodybuilding community. After a decade of fitness competitions, I earned one of the world's most prestigious titles, the IFBB Fitness Olympia Championships. Moving into the new millennium, I was the first IFBB Fitness Olympia athlete to transition into the new professional figure division and compete for close to another 20 years. After 15 years as an IFBB professional, I tried another organization and won the WBFF World Pro Figure Championships both 2010 and 2013. I am a true athlete and made my way into racing into the Masters USATF sprint events, placing top 3 at the World's Masters track meet in all 3 events, the 100, 200, and 400 meter races. Besides athletics, I have been honored with over 100 magazine covers both nationally and internationally. Since it's always a blessing to share with others, over the last 15 years, I've hosted women's fitness events and worked with the clients, helping them discover how to live radiantly in all areas of life, body, mind, soul, and spirit. The Monica Brant Show is one of the ways I am honoring the legendary athletes, powerhouse individuals, and nutrition gurus that have laid a strong foundation in the past, help keep the current industry flowing, and offer inspiration to the next generations. minutes to read. So it's apparently nobody can hear us. I don't know, Kona, if you are able to see that or not, but we'll just keep going because we do have this recorded and there will be a replay and hopefully people will be able to hear later. But anyways, Clark, all right, so good to have you on, and thank you so much for your compliments. And yes, this whole COVID lockdown thing has been pretty crazy. I know for California, you're out there in Southern California. How has it been for you guys, your family? How are you guys handling this?
You know, it's status quo for me, honestly. I in front of me like I'm used to, but they're in front of me the same. So that it's exciting to me. It really helps you become a better version of who you are if you dig into it.
Right. And you're in Southern California, right? You're still, is it Escondido or am I off on the, Did I get that? I got that right. Wow. Yeah. Around there. So what is it like there? Because I mean, I've obviously been seeing kind of the stuff that's going on with the rioting up in LA area. But what is it like in your area, like outside of your safe, protected home?
It's calm here in my immediate area. My kids have been going to some of these rallies and protests and things. And as a parent, you get a little scared for that because you don't know what to expect. But given the fact that my kids are very conscious and understanding of what is going on, and they're trying to be peacemakers instead of troublemakers, because there's definitely both components, I feel very confident in what they're doing and what's going on. And I have kind of an insider's view of what is happening because I train the mayor of our town. So I kind of get firsthand knowledge of what's going on. So, we're cool here. And, I go to LA all the time to do work, and it gets a little freaky depending on where you're at. So I'm smart enough to know to stay away from any area that might cause me harm.
So you're the first official person I've talked to that has, I guess, any relative that I know of going and being amongst all the riots or protesting, or not that your family's in the riot part, but the protesting piece. So are your kids, and remind me how old they are now, because I remember like years ago they were so young and now they're older. Yeah. So well, how old are they now?
She'll be 29 in July.
No way.
Yeah, and Mitch is 25. Oh. And they're both amazing humans. They're absolutely, I said I'm a fan of you, Monica, and I really, truly am. And I'm also a fan of my kids. It's an interesting perspective when you look at your kids from this position of, wow, they can teach me something. And I'm learning a lot from them, especially during this time. So it's been a very interesting ride for me because I have a lot of different ways that I can look at this, as a person that is affected by this and, in a weird kind of way, and my kids being involved, and then having this insight with the government officials that I'm around. It's a unique time that we're living in. And I'm using it as an opportunity to really dig into myself and find areas that I can improve in. Because honestly, if we were to find the answer to this, the answer lies within ourselves. If we go look in the mirror, that will reveal what we can do to make a difference.
Yeah, I like that. And, I think it's interesting because I don't have children, right? So I don't know how it would feel to be a parent and think, well, my kids want to go down. And of course I keep thinking your kids are still teenagers because I'm stuck like 10 years ago, but they're, wow, 29, Taylor?
Yeah.
Man. Okay. So it's been that many years since I've known you and Anita, and it's just wild.
We got a long history, Monica. We go way back, and I
know. There's so much.
And I got a story about you that I want to tell. So
oh no.
You tell me.
All right. It just seems like everyone that comes on, they're like, I got a story to tell. I'm like, well, I don't know what's coming next.
It's very positive, and you want me to tell a story because it just tells your physical prowess on a level that a lot of people don't understand. They only see your body and how beautiful it is, and your attitude and your energy and all of that. But what I want to share with everyone watching is how much of an athlete you are. So whenever you're ready, just let me know.
Well, I mean, if you have to share, you might as well get it over with. That way we can keep going on about you.
Okay, so we were shooting the pilot episode of my TV show, American Health and Fitness, and Monica was my co-host. We were side by side, and we were up in Laguna Beach, and we're shooting. And one of the opening sequences of the show was Monica and I running down the beach. Now, Monica, in her opening, you see her with her accolades in track. Now, many of you don't realize how fast this woman is. And it wasn't until we were running down the beach in Laguna Beach, California, and we're taking off, and there's a truck in front of us with a camera, and they tell us to sprint. I'm a fast guy. I'm going to tell you, I'm really fast. So we're sprinting along, and I'm thinking to myself, I need to maintain a good pace so Monica can keep up with me. I pick up the speed a little bit. I feel something next to me. I'm like, wait a minute, that's Monica, still there. I pick up the pace a little bit more. I still feel something next to me. I look back, and Monica is right next to me, and I'm going, hold up, wait a minute. I go full out. Monica is still next to me only because she decided not to turn it on and go past me. Ladies and gentlemen, this woman is fast. I'm telling you right now.
Thank you, Clark. Thank you. Well, sprinting is my absolute favorite, and I love feeling that strength that comes from sprinting, like that inner, not just the body strength, but the mental strength to think you can go all out, not injure something, and feel like we laughed a lot while we were filming that. Yeah, very cool. Okay, so I want to kind of go back for a minute, and I think that's pretty cool about your kids and how you feel about them, and being a proud fan of your children. I think that's so important, and that they have, and I'm sure because of you and Anita, I mean, y'all been married, what, 30 years, 25? How many years have y'all been married now? 30?
31.
31. So, I mean, they have such a strong foundation with mom and dad, paving the way for them. And I know that, life is ups and downs for everybody. But they're solid kids. Yeah. They have to be. So I'm really interested to think that when they come home from having gone down to the protest, I would love to be involved in those conversations. And then, knowing what you know from working with the mayor, which is pretty awesome opportunity for you to be involved in that and having that conversation. What great conversations y'all have. Probably very little phone, people staring at the phone. It's more about, hey, let's talk about what's going on and what just happened. And I think that's so amazing that y'all have this opportunity where they can grow into this era and you can learn from them. That's pretty amazing. Wow, yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
They have a skewed perspective on life, honestly, because the industry that we're in obviously is not common. It's not normal for a kid to grow up going to be on the set of my television show, for example, that you were so great on. And, shows like Kiana's Flex Appeal and being around movie sets that their dad was in, or even a photo shoot with you and I on the beach. You'll remember that when we shot for the cover of NutriSport magazine, I think the kids were little. And they were there,
That's right. That's right.
These sorts of things. So their perspective on life is a whole lot different than someone who might have a 9-to-5. Not that that's any, it's just different. It's a different perspective that they have. So for Father's Day the other day, my daughter gave me a really nice card that said, I'm an entrepreneur because I've witnessed you my entire life, always creating, always working, always hustling. And I have taken that from you. And both of my kids are very entrepreneurial and very creative and very much leaders.
I love it. What are they involved in? Like, what do they like to do other than go to the protest right now?
Yeah. So my daughter she's a life coach, and she empowers women to love themselves in the body that they live in. And she does it through photography. She received a camera from me and Anita for her graduation. And it stuck with her. She's an actual real life photographer who makes money. And she also, right now, currently, she does pole dancing. So she is she reminds me a lot of you, Monica, in the sense that she is an extreme athlete, but people don't see it because she's such a beautiful soul the essence of who you are as a person when people see you overshadows the fact that you could do anything you want, from riding horses to racing people. And I've seen you in races, and you are a beast. And my daughter is the exact same way. If she decides she wants to box, she's the best. CrossFit, she's the best. Pole dancing, she's the best. Track, she's fast too. Still has the record for the 4x4 at her high school with her 3 mates on that team. My son, a life coach, a brilliant person who understands the human body and how it works. We were just in a teaching session this morning with a very smart individual, and I felt like the 3rd smartest person in the conversation, and there were only 3 people there, and my son was leading the conversation. So they are brilliant and very fascinating human beings.
That's so cool. I love it. I love it. I bet you guys just really have some great conversations and time together. And yeah, so praise God, because I know faith is a big part of who you are and Anita and what you guys have raised your kids in and built a family around. So God's honoring that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. That's so awesome. So let's talk a little bit about your past, because I know you have fans on and a lot of people are excited to hear, about you. And a lot of people know, like what you're doing right now, but I just want to take a step back a little bit and like, who was Clark? Where'd you grow up and how did you get into Kiana Tom's show? Like, I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I don't think I even know the story about how did Clark go from being a kid to being in the military and then being on Kiana Tom's show. And before you go on, I just want to mention, we have 2 giveaways tonight, guys. So one question, your first question for the Egg White International giveaway, which we do every show, is which branch of military was Clark in? Thank you, Clark, for your service. And I almost said it, so I got to be careful because I'll give the answer away. So whoever comes up with the answer correct first, wins the Egg White International. It has to be United States. I'm sorry, we can't ship internationally. But then we have a second question. Once we get that answer, maybe second half of the show, we'll come back in with the second question. But for now, which branch did Clark serve in? Okay, so tell us your history, Clark.
Yeah, so grew up in Canton, Ohio, and at the age of 17, I decided I needed to get away from there and end up somehow in Southern California. So I joined a branch of the service, and we will not mention which one it was until we get a winner. And then I ended up out here in Southern California, and I started working in the gym business. My first job was I was a trainer at what was then Family Fitness, which is now 24-Hour Fitness. So I worked my way through and went into sales and got into management and did really well. And then one day I was in the gym and a buddy of mine said, dude, you could be a bodybuilder. Why don't you compete? And I'm like, I don't want to compete. So I entered the Muscle Mania before it became the Muscle Mania. This is when Lose Wick got the name, I believe, from me. It was an NPC show in 1988, and it was my first show, and I went open instead of novice, and I won the whole show. Lose Wick reached out to me, and I said, overall champion, Muscle Mania. And then all of a sudden, the Muscle Mania was born, the one that we know about. So from there, I said, I was looking at a cover of Muscle and Fitness magazine, and James DeMello was on it. And it said, world's most handsome bodybuilder. He was on the cover with Corey. And I said, man, I'm better looking than this guy. So, that kind of transpired. I was backstage at a bodybuilding show one time, and I saw Paula Crane. You remember Paula Crane, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Paula Crane was there shooting some other guy by the name of Scott Ruiz, who was the it guy at the time. And I'm thinking, what do I got to do? So I approached her, and she shot me at Gold's Venice. And then I ran into Ralph DeHaan when I owned a sheepskin store in Encinitas, California. And I told him, I'm always in shape. And that was really what changed it for me, Monica, was I told Ralph DeHaan, I am always in shape. And you had mentioned all the covers I've been on. In all honesty, let's say there's, 130 covers that I've been on. I've been called maybe 5 times to be on a cover specifically because they wanted me. The other 125 was because Michael Hearn wasn't ready, Frank Seppi wasn't ready, Christian Boving wasn't ready, Sebastian Siegel was off on some trip. The only 4 other guys that were actually doing this, there were no fitness models then. So coming around to Kiana's Flex Appeal, I owned that sheepskin store. I'm sitting in there minding my own business. I had bought that store a couple different times, and while I was working in the gyms, I met a guy by the name of Joe Garcia. I'm standing outside of my sheepskin store in Encinitas, California. This guy goes walking by, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I've been looking for you for so long. There's this girl by the name of Kiana, and she's casting for a TV show. I told her I got the perfect guy. You need to go audition." So I drove up, and every time I passed the building in it's Newport Beach, I think of the day that I walked into that casting session for Kiana's Flex Appeal. Here's something really funny. I was getting tanned for it, and back then there were cords on your headphones, and you had a Walkman, right? So I had a Walkman in the tanning bed, and the cord went down my back. So there was a tan line down my back that looked like what Kiana thought was a scar. So they had me take my shirt off, and I'm sitting there, and I'm turning around, and on the back she goes, "Ooh, what's that big scar down your back?" And I'm like, "I don't have a scar on my back." It was the tan line from the cord on my headphones. And she thought that it was this big scar, so that concerned her. But I ended up getting the call. She asked me. I knew I had it when she said, "What are you doing on these dates?" And I'm like, "I got it." You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I ended up a few seasons, actually.
What was the last thing you said?
I ended up being on there for a few seasons, so it worked out well.
Yeah, exactly. That's a fun story.
Yep.
Those were the days like out in Hawaii, and just like no social media where you had to keep up with stuff. You were on a job, and that's all you did other than, talk to your loved one maybe back on the mainland, and you just worked. You didn't have to do all these other, like you said today on the message, you were like, "Oh, the social media, it's so much, right? It's so much to take care of and keep up with." And if you're trying to keep a business going, and back then we didn't have, maybe we had fan mail, right? But that was so different. Like you got back to fan mail as you could, but social media now, everyone wants an immediate response. And then it's like, yeah, I wish there was part of me sometimes that wishes have the good old days now, thinking back about the good old days. Because anyways, so that's a fun story. And it's funny. I've been talking to Kiana Tom a little bit on Instagram.
Yeah, me too. She had actually talked to me about doing a reunion show. Yes. I said, we don't know how many of those people are still in shape. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sherry Goggins all day long, though.
That woman never ages. I swear.
No, she looks the same for the last 30 years. Like, yeah, no, she would be ready to go. You and me would be ready, and I don't know about it. I don't know on anyone else. I don't remember who else was on there.
Like our season, it would be amazing. And the funny thing about our season was when you guys would be shooting. Remember, we were up on that kind of little plateau, and then right down below, you'd walk down right to the beach right there. So if I wasn't working, I would run down to the beach, and there would be all these little old ladies that were sitting on the beach, and I would go in and dive under the water like some Hawaiian boy or something, and grab seashells for them and bring them back up. And then they would yell down, "Clark, you got to shoot." So I would just do like this. And then the makeup guys, Robert and the other one.
I can't remember their name right now, but yeah.
Yeah, so they would get me all ready to go and make me up, and I was just throwing some shorts because that was pretty much the uniform, right? And shoot an episode, and that was it. So that was a really fun time. I had a blast.
I agree. Those were good days. So yeah, it'd be fun if something came up. So those of you that don't know what we're talking about, Kiana Tom is a well-known I don't remember, she had like 5 or 6 of us that were on, maybe 4 of us, because I did 2 shows. I did 95 and 96. And
when it was our season, it was me, you, Sherry, and her boyfriend at the time.
Oh yeah, Anthony.
The far from Aladdin.
Anthony or something, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so the year before, she had a much bigger production. There was a lot more people, and because I was on 95, and then we came back in 96 with you too. So that was fun. But that would be cool if we did a reunion. I've been trying to get her to, jump on my show with me. So maybe I'll get her on the show because it'd be fun to just kind of reunite. She still looks great, and she's doing a lot, and she's taking care of moms with her kids and her whole fitness deal. So, it's fun to see. It's fun to see our group from the old days still successful.
It really is.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do this show was just, let's bring up the people that have helped create this bodybuilding and fitness industry. I think it's really important that we honor those people like yourself and find out, a little bit more about you and remember who what you've done in the industry and where you are now. And so that's what this show's about for me anyway. So I'm excited. All right. So I have some notes here. I just wanted to look. So we've got, do we have a winner? Oh, we do have a winner. We have a winner, winner, chicken dinner. And it just happens to be Egg White International, Okay, I know. That's old. Okay, so our winner is Mr. Scott Van Oram. Scott, I'm so sorry. Ornum, I know you guys, obviously. I've been working with his wife for the last 6 months. She has done amazing in her little transformation. Miss Sherry, I'm so proud of her. But Scott is her husband, and he said, the Marines! Woohoo!
Number 5.
Hey, so tell us, Scott, a little bit about, Scott, congratulations. I will be with you after the show, and I will get you connected to the owner. We'll get you set up with your winner, Egg White International chicken dinner, egg dinner. So can you share a little bit about your Marines days? Like, how long were you in the Marines, and how was that for you?
Yeah, I was in the Marine Corps 3 years. I wanted to stay in forever, but it just didn't seem to be in the cards for me. And that's where really fitness took off for me. I grew up athletic and all that sort of stuff. But when I got into the Marine Corps, I joined the Marine Corps specifically because I thought they were the most badass guys on the planet. The dress blue uniform to me was the epitome of what you should look like. And I was a patriot. So I went in and I started to excel. In boot camp, I was the #1 guy. I physically outperformed everybody else. And then when I went into what they call the fleet, the regular Marine Corps, once you become a Marine after boot camp, I didn't sleep. Like guys would sleep during lunchtime, and I would go out and exercise. And really what kind of set off my fitness career was the commanding officer of my battalion came to me and said, hey, we got two. They referred to them as fat bodies. We got 2 fat bodies that are going to get kicked out, and we need someone to help them get in shape. We've been watching you. You go off, and I would do this pull-up and push-up routine, 20 pull-ups, 20 push-ups, 19 pull-ups, 19 push-ups. And they said, hey, just take these guys with you because we need you to help them get in shape. So I did that, and it ended up working out. And then I joined the Marine Corps rugby team and traveled around playing rugby. So I had a pretty good time when I was in. Never had to do any war or anything like that, thankfully. And then when I got out, I got into the gym business. But the Marine Corps has stayed with me my entire life. There are certain disciplines that I still carry through to this day, like tucking my shoelaces into my shoe, the way my closet looks with the short sleeve, long sleeve jeans and dress clothes. And there's an attitude that goes with it as well. And I think it becomes obvious to people, like, you were a Marine. So I am very grateful for what it instilled in me, because I know for sure that it's part of the discipline that I have that has helped me become successful in our industry.
Wow. So tell me about this, and not to take away, but tell me about this tucking the laces in your in your shoes, because I do that same thing, but I didn't know that was a thing.
Well, maybe I did it to you on a photo shoot one day, because when there are models on photo shoots and I'm helping the photographer, like I do that a lot just to learn more and understand photography and lighting and all that sort of thing. I'll walk over to the models and tuck their shoelaces in, because to see them hanging out drives me nuts. It's just uniform. When you look at a Marine poster, you see perfection. From the way the cover's on, to the jawline of the guy, to the way he's standing, to the attitude in his eyes, all the way down to his boots, where his shoelaces are not hanging out looking sloppy. Mm-hmm. They're tucked in so it looks neat. And you get fear because you look at this guy thinking, or this gal, wow, they are ready from head to toe. And that's kind of what I carry with me in life. When I leave my house, I want to look a certain way. For when I walk into a room, people have to take notice of who I am. Not because I'm some egomaniac, but because I carry a message to the world that I think is important to hear. Whether I say something or not, I want people to feel something about me that is nonverbal. And part of it's the way you look. And I really got that from the Marine Corps. And something as simple as tucking your shoes in, and you just have it innately. Maybe your mom taught it to you, who's sitting right there next to you. Maybe you learned it when you were dressing to go out and do, your horse riding, that you need to look a certain way.
Well, I don't know. I think back now, and all I can think of is that ever since I can remember, I have tucked the laces in my shoes, and especially for photo shoots, because I hate, like you said, I hated them to be floppy looking, or I tie them really small and double, so they're cute or something. But yeah, I've always done that, and I've done that for other models as well. Like gone in and made sure. That either.
That's awesome. What I love about shooting with Jason Ellis. We were shooting the other day. We're pitching some magazines, and there was something. These shorts that I have, the zipper was undone, and only Jason Ellis would recognize that and walk over and close the zipper. I love that attention to detail in people.
Yes,
that tells me they're really connected with what they're doing, and I think we're losing a lot of that in the industry today. Just my old guy perspective. That's all.
Well, so with that, it's really sad to see all of the magazines kind of dwindling as far as, how often they're published or if they're even put out in, hard copy. So having these kind of magazine covers is not going to be as easy for other athletes coming up. It's digital. It's just not the same. So how do you feel about, where the magazine company is going, and how does that make you feel like kind of those days are slowly going away?
Well, you had mentioned something earlier, Monica, that I think is important. You said you want to give respect to the people that paved the way in this world. And I think there's a lot of young kids out there that have no clue. Let me give you an example. I was at, I think it was the Fit Expo in Pasadena. No, it was up north somewhere. And Sean Ray and I competed against him in the Palm Springs. Chris Cormier were walking by. And Rich Gaspari walked by. And all of these young kids, I mean, these legends in our industry are walking past these younger people who have no clue who they are. And I'm like, oh my gosh, man. I went up to them as a fan. Like, I just wanted to talk to them and shake their hand and say hi. And it's a shame because a lot of these younger fitness models will never have the experience that you and I have had, where you walk into a grocery store and you walk down the aisle and you see your cover and you grab it and you walk up and you throw it on that little conveyor belt and it's going past and the person goes, is this you?
Right.
Stand there tall and say, yeah, that's me, with no arrogance, because you're not that person. But it comes with this pride, a good pride of saying, yeah, that's a lot of my hard work, that this multi-million-dollar company recognized that they want to put my image on the front to stop people in that aisle, to get them to pick this up for all the advertisers that are on the inside. This goes deep, man. We could have a whole entire discussion on this alone, because it's something they'll never, ever get. Because you put up an Instagram, you get 100,000 followers, all of a sudden you're a fitness model. I'm going to say, no, you're not. I'm sorry if I'm going to hurt your feelings. No, you're not.
Right. I know all of the social media models nowadays, it's disheartening. I came across one of the gals last year at the Olympia, and it was the end of the show, and I was there just with Sarah Lyons. We were doing some photo shoots there, and we'd gone into the expo and seeing the guys at Egg White International, and just started kind of milling about, talking to some of the different vendors and people there that we knew. And then I had some fans coming up, and at the very end we went over to talk to one of the girls that was closing up her booth, and I was like, I just want to go and say hello and introduce myself. And she was like, oh my gosh, I'm your biggest fan. I stood in your line in the old days. She's like, I used to come and stand in your line. I've waited 2 hours to meet you at the Olympia. And she was so cute, and she's got 1.5 million followers or something crazy on Instagram. And, and she turned it around. She was like, no, I'm your biggest fan. Well, she had her one and only cover Planet, what's the Status Fitness, sorry, Status Fitness up from Canada, and she had her one only cover, and she was so cute. She was so excited. So I did a little video with her and congratulated her on her cover. And I was just like, you have all of those followers on only one cover. And, you know, back in the day, like getting the covers was the thing that everyone wanted. And nowadays it's just so different. You know, just because the magazines don't really do what they used to do for the industry, I don't think.
Yeah, you know, it's a shame they're going to miss that. And I love that story because it gives me hope that there are other people out there that really get it and understand it. And you're worthy of that, Monica. I need you to understand that, because oftentimes we'll kind of push aside the fact that you are an inspiration to so many people. And you are still, in my opinion, the epitome of what, you know, I don't even like to use the word fitness model anymore because it limits who you are. You're a fitness entrepreneur. You have taken your physical gifts and turned them into a literal empire that has touched the lives of so many people throughout the entire world. And it's such a cool thing to see that you are such a humble human being and you're able to continue to walk in this just loving energy that is accepting of everyone, you know?
Oh, Clark, I just need you to keep, call me every day and you can give me a little pep talk, the motivational. So thank you. I'm so honored with what you're saying, and I take it to heart, and I know that you are a man of integrity, so you don't just say those things. So thank you so much. Okay, so I want to talk to you about your books. And with that, let's bring out the second question for our second giveaway, which is going to be Legendary Foods has a sample pack they want to send out, which this product line is amazing. It's so good. Been nibbling on it every day since I've gotten my samples of them. I love them. But so the question for you guys is, what was the first book title from Clark Bartram? What is the first book that he wrote? What was it called? I'm not going to ask you for a date that it was written, but what was it called? Because you have how many books out now?
Physical books, I have Spiritually Fit, Where Your Mind Goes, You Go.
Don't say the
I'm not
title.
going to say that one. I'm not going to count that one. I have Magical Mornings. I have 10. So I've got 6 physical books and probably 10 ebooks.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a lot of books. I mean, you obviously like to write, so that's so cool. So, okay, people, we're gonna have to find an answer. So someone's got to come up with the answer. So number 1, you'll get the Legendary Foods sample pack, and number 2, I believe Clark is willing to autograph the book and send it out. So, what was his first title that he wrote? And now, before we go to commercial break, which is only going to be about a 2-minute break, people, we're going to do rapid fire questions with Clark. Woo! You ready, Clark?
Yep.
Ready? Awesome. Okay. So we've got rapid fire questions, just to reiterate, rapid fire questions, and then we're going to go to a very short commercial break. You guys, at commercial break, you'll get up, go to the bathroom, maybe, or you want to hang out and watch our sponsors video. And then we're going to come right back and dive into some more because Clark got way more information. Okay, so let's go rapid fire. Clark, last 3 internet sites you visited today.
Last 3 internet sites I visited today: monicabrant.com.
Oh, boy.
GoDaddy, because I needed to get my internet fixed, and Inertia Wave, because I got a new product and I needed to study some different moves that I wasn't doing on them. So GoDaddy, Monica Brant, and Inertia Wave.
Woo, I got one in there. Yay. Okay, favorite type of restaurant?
Favorite type of restaurant: Mediterranean.
Ooh, that's different. Okay, most people say Mexican. 3 common things you do every day.
Wake up, drink water, lift weights.
All right. Sounds like cavemen. All right, list the least favorite healthy food you make yourself eat.
Least favorite healthy food I make myself eat. Man, if I don't like it, I don't eat it.
Okay, so you like all of them. Okay. You know, it's not like broccoli or something. You're like, it's healthy. I got to eat it. Love it.
I ate a pound of asparagus yesterday.
A pound?
Still smelling meat.
Wow, that's a lot. Okay. Favorite brand of clothing? Do you have one? Oh, Perfetto. Remember Perfetto?
Yeah, I remember. That's how funny. Kohl's. I go to Kohl's and buy whatever fits me. Like, actually, some would say Baby Gap because my shirts are so small.
That's great. Okay, Baby Gap. If you could go back to 1 year in your past and either keep it the same or edit it, which year would it be?
1997.
Okay, that sounds like a good year. Favorite and most used supplement ever?
Collagen. Now I'm a collagen guy because I'm getting old, Monica, and I gotta keep that skin tight and fresh, and those joints lubricated, and the hair going. You know?
Yep. Well, it looks like it's working. So we'll have to come back after commercial break. I want to talk about that. Okay, this one's kind of fun. Well, I think it's kind of fun. Something Anita has to ask you to do all the time.
Oh, man. Something it asks me to do all the time. Be nice to her?
Oh, come on.
I'm pretty good, man. I clean up after myself. Do
we need to ask Anita?
Yeah, that would be an Ask Anita question because I'm seriously at a loss. Maybe I think too high on myself.
That's awesome. Okay, that's all good. Okay, if you had to pick an exotic animal that you would relate yourself to, what would be that animal?
A hawk.
Ooh, yeah, I would say you're right. You're right. Okay, and last question. If you had to live in another country, which would it be?
Out of all the places I've been, I would say Okinawa, Japan.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
At this stage in my life, right now, today, it's chill. It's fresh. People live old there, man.
So you go and pluck out the green tea leaves, huh? And focus on green tea.
Some, like philosophical, like beaches somewhere. Okinawa, because those people know how to live, man. They know how to get the most out of every year of their life.
I love it. Okay, we're going to go to a really quick commercial break. You guys.
We got a winner. Did we get a winner? Yes.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Victor won last week, too. I love it. Way to go, Victor. I can't remember which one Victor won last week, if he won the Legendary Foods or the Egg White International. Maybe he won the Egg White. That's it. Woo, Victor. Thank you for joining us tonight, Victor. Congratulations.
Even got Monica's name on the front. There's a beautiful picture of Monica inside right here. Let me show you. Full page. Look at that.
Yes. Yep. That photographer is the same photographer, makeup artist out when we were at Kiana Tom's show.
Okay.
That's the same guy that did that headshot because he's a photographer. They were out there doing makeup, but they do photography too.
John Abeda.
That's right. I was thinking John, and I couldn't put out the last name. John Abeda. Yeah, they were so much fun.
Oh, they were great photographers. I got one of my favorite photos ever is from him. So anyway.
Right. I mean, we could talk about photography. I mean, we got so much. Maybe we have to have a second show. Okay, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back, everybody. So y'all come back, and I'm going to look at some of these comments so we can circle back to some of them when we come back. All right, guys.
I'm going to get charge my battery here.
Yes.
Hey guys, we're super excited to be here at the LA Fit Expo. It's our third year in a row. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs. And we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
There is a person present in the collective awareness of millions of people that had changed their life to be the best they could be. A name that keeps repeating every time you seek a proven way of achieving a life-decisive goal. It's It's no coincidence that his name gets brought up when you're speaking of a professional fitness model, TV host, best-selling author, in-prison evangelist, and Batman. Clark Bartram, a qualified ISSA master trainer with cover appearances in over 130 fitness publications. He is truly the best spokesman in the world of lifestyle improvement. Professional fitness products brand their equipment with his name. In the making of his exceptional career, he has gained recognition playing the iconic superhero Batman in the cult classic Batman Dead End, and the lead role in the feature film Hunter Prey. A man so trusted that his book, Where Your Mind Goes, You Go, reached Amazon's #1. Backed by his church, he was a national artist doing in-prison evangelism and motivation through his ministry. Get ready to push yourself like never before. And let's give a powerful welcome to America's most trusted fitness professional, Clark Bartram.
Clark, you're on the other side now. All right, I think we're back on. All right. I hope everybody had a chance to see Clark's awesome video. Clark, you've done so much stuff. I mean, you've written these awesome books. You've got like a million titles across the board, from fitness to spiritually fit, which, you know, is near and dear to my heart. You've done all this motivational and mental conditioning books as well. What do you feel like you like to write about the most?
I would say the mindset stuff, you know, and I'm going to go like in deep, and some people are really going to connect with this, and I know you will. None of my books I wrote. I was simply a mouthpiece of something that needed to come through me. Every single one of them, I heard something in my spirit. It was like, that's the title of your book. And I got up and I listened and I did it. I am not capable of writing a book on my own. I was not a good student. I don't consider myself like a really smart person, but I consider myself an open person enough to allow information to come through me. And I'm a guy that takes action too. I'm never one to sit back and think I should have done that. I want to write a book. If I want to do something, I do it. And it just happened that these books ended up being successful because I honestly believe it's because I was obedient, not because I was any smarter than anybody else or any more gifted than anyone or had more knowledge. It's just that it was meant to happen and I was obedient. That's really the answer.
You know, I do resonate with what you're saying. And that word, before you said obedient, that was the word that was in my mind. You know, that's what came to me and that's what I was thinking. And then there you are saying it, right? I have a book that I want to write. So tell me, what would be your advice or suggestion to help me get off the hump and just go do it? And like, how do you set the time apart to do that?
Yeah. So I've had a lot of people ask me that question, and I've challenged so many people to the point where it's actually happened for them. And I'm going to do that to you right now, Monica.
Okay.
Tomorrow when you wake up, write something, and don't be attached to how you're writing it with grammar or punctuation. Get it out of your spirit because it's in you and it needs to come out of you because one, it will absolutely just, there's something that happens inside of you when you have this in you and it needs to come out, but you're afraid to let it come out. You're intimidated to let it come out. You tell yourself, I'm not capable of letting it come out. But when you start the process, it will meet you and it will begin to come out. So I always tell people, puke it out. And then write every single day, whether it's one sentence or an entire paragraph. My last book I wrote in one day, 4:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon. It was done. The book before that, it took me 2 weeks. So the key and where people get hung up is they wait for inspiration. They wait to feel like they're motivated. You need to write every single day, and I'm challenging you to start writing it tomorrow, because I promise you, when you do, it will come out. And when you don't attach yourself to being perfect, it will end up being what it needs to be for the people who need to hear it.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Can you tell me how big your books are? Because I think that's something that I get hung up on, is thinking, and I don't even know, it's just a block, you know, like, okay, how many pages do I need? And that's not even, I shouldn't even be thinking about that, right?
Here, this is a perfect example of the book we brought up today. This has been sitting in my shed forever. The way this book happened, Jason Ellis and I were doing a shoot in Laguna Beach, and afterwards we were looking over the ocean, and we always have these just iconic brainstorm sessions. I love being around that guy because he draws so much out of me that I can't get out of myself. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting there, and he looked at me, and I remember it like it was yesterday. He goes, "You should write a book on being a fitness model." I was like, it'll be like a Bible tract, like 3 little pages. I mean, what can I write?
Bible tract. Yeah. And there it is.
This book right here is 142 pages long, jam-packed full of information that anybody who reads it, even in today's day and age when social media wasn't a thing, will gain something from this, because we have people like Monica Brant in here talking about, you know, how it's from her perspective as a woman. I even went as far to have a black guy in here because black guys weren't getting on covers then. It wasn't happening. I found a black dude to write for me from his perspective. I got Jack LaLanne in here. I got Sean Green in here.
Good old guys.
Start coming out that you didn't know was in you, that will begin to fill this thing to the point where it needs to be filled for the people that are in your circle, that are meant to be touched by whatever it is that you want to share. So I'm going to ask you right now, what is it that you want to write about?
Well, I feel like I've discovered how to live radiantly in each part.
Stop right there. Okay. People didn't look, you didn't expect this to happen, Monica.
No.
I was listening to your intro video, and when I heard the word radiantly, it jumped out at me, and I meant to say something. You are right on track. I'm telling you this right now. I don't care about anyone listening. This is me and you talking. You are right on track.
You're making get me all teary
of living radiantly. Listen, you are the epitome of living radiantly. If you don't write this book, you are robbing every woman out there who needs to understand how to live radiantly. So you need to understand, this is not about you. Take Monica Brant out of the equation because it has nothing to do with you. You have been blessed with this information. Now it is your turn to disseminate that to the world. Don't be intimidated by your lack of understanding how to write. Don't be intimidated by how big it's going to be. Don't be intimidated by anything, because that is the enemy trying to steal your gift from the world that it needs to touch. This I know for sure right now. If we cut this thing down into this 2 minutes, that's what the world needs.
I'm listening, and I'm taking it in, and I feel it. I feel it.
True.
So I will accept your challenge.
So tomorrow, and don't worry about the title. Don't worry about it. It will come to you, and it will happen, and you will feel it. My book, Where Your Mind Goes, You Go, was born. I heard Joyce Meyer say, "Where the mind goes, the man follows." In my spirit, I'm like, that's the title of your book. And I'm like, I'm not writing a book. I'm like, I'm writing the book. I got up that second, that literal second. I walked across my room. I sat down. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm writing a book. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue. You know what? It's a bestseller. Go to Amazon, look it up. It's got 100 5-star reviews. People love it. Clark Bartram, the little guy from Canton, Ohio, is not capable of that. But the obedient part of me is.
I love it, Clark. Well, you've resonated in my heart, and I greatly appreciate that. And I will take your challenge on. That's awesome.
Can't wait. I'll be the first one to buy it. even though I'm not a woman who needs to live radiantly.
I fell in love with that word. It's such a beautiful word, and you don't hear it a whole lot.
Monica, it jumped out at me. I swear on my life. When your thing was going, I heard radiantly. I'm like, wow. So you could not be more right on. You need to, if you could trademark that word for your own.
I love it. I love it. Well, you've known me so long. You know me well enough that I will honor and respect, what you have to say, and thank you.
Sarah Lyons agrees.
Miss Sarah Lyons.
She agrees yes. A threefold strand, right, is not easily right there. We got 3 people in agreement. It's done.
Well, Sarah and I, you know who Sarah is, right? With Picture Group. Yep. So Sarah and I started working together a little over a year ago, and we're producing epic destination shoots. And she's got a magazine called BodyScape Magazine, which I was featured on her cover in January. So extending my from 1991 to this year covers span, but it's really cool. We'd love to maybe talk to you sometime about being involved, and it's not just for women, but at any rate, she's one of my very dear friends, and she's of course amazing at what she does. So very cool. Victor had some cool comments, and he sounds like he's been following you for a long time, and he won the Legendary Foods and your book, but he won the Egg White International last week. So now he's getting all the prizes. I love it.
Winner.
Yeah, winner. So tell me about, Clark, your acting, because Batman, and then we've got Hunger Prey, and this is cool. That's awesome. How did that start up? So
the whole Batman thing, I never really meant to be an actor. I never wanted to be. I didn't never go audition for anything. We did our TV stuff, and we were good on the shows, right? We were just natural at teaching. And so one day I'm sitting here on my computer, literally right behind me inside the house, and I get a phone call from Jason Ellis once again. And he says, hey, man, I just got a call from a guy by the name of Sandy Calora. He's directing this Batman movie, and he can't find a guy to play the Batman. And apparently he's auditioned like a bunch of bodybuilders, but he wants a bodybuilder that is athletic, that doesn't need like this plastic suit, because he had a vision for Batman that was more realistic to the comic books. So Jason went on to explain his conversation, and the conversation happened because Sandy Calora, the director, was in a Starbucks kind of like at the end of his search for a bodybuilder, and Jason's card was posted up in there. And it had all these bodies. And he's like, I'm going to call this guy. So when he called Jason, he said, I need a guy with a square jaw, blue eyes, deep voice, good looking, muscular, and about, 6 feet tall. Jason's like, damn, you just described my buddy Clark, but he's like 5'8". So Jason called me, and I said, no, I'm not going on this audition, because I go to these auditions and guys like Gunther are there. You know what I mean? I'm like, why am I here? These guys all tower over me. Not that I have a short man complex or anything, but I'm not right for the part based upon the description of this character. So I'm not going. So Jason, and man, I love that guy because he always pushes me to do more. And he says, dude, just go. What's your problem? Just go. What do you got to lose? So I call Sandy on the phone. I'm like, listen, bro, I'm 5'8". He goes, I don't care. I love your voice. Come up here. I drive up, I do the audition, knock it out of the park, and it's for a short film called Batman Dead End. For those of you who watch and who don't know, you can go on YouTube. This is when YouTube was first starting. Nothing had gone viral yet. So we shoot this little 8-minute short film for Sandy to get the attention of Warner Brothers and DC Comics to do his version of Batman. So this thing, I was just doing it, right? We shoot this movie. It was fun. I had a blast. I'm fighting. I'm doing my own stunts and all this sort of stuff. And it ended up blowing up. Comic-Con, 5,000 people in a room go nuts over this short little film. DC Comics, Warner Brothers call me in. And I'm having these meetings with these people, and I'm like, what's going on? So this little 8 minutes of film about Batman turned into be an absolute game changer for me. I mean, I'm mentioned with Kilmer, Clooney, Keaton, And who else played Batman? Christian Bale. They put me in those conversations of who is the best Batman. And I really identified with the character. Honestly, I did. And who knows? Maybe I do go out at night.
You have a Batmobile, don't you?
Hey, yeah.
I love it. I love it. That's such a fun story. I remember talking to you at some point, I think when that first was going on, because I remember you telling me about it, but I just, I didn't really ever hear like the big final story. But I do remember hearing something about it. You were all excited about it. That's so cool. I love it. And
Crazy.
then,
To this day, I still
yeah.
get photos and little dolls that they make of me they're lifelike. I mean, like real live me. I got one sitting right in there. And it's insane. To this day, I mean, that was 2002. And it was the first viral video on YouTube, verifiable, without a doubt. It blew YouTube up.
That's awesome. How fun is that? Like, can you do a remake of it? Do a new one?
Sandy doesn't want to. So many people want us to, and he just won't do it because the talk was back then, he's like, dude, when you turn 50, we're going to do The Dark Knight Returns. And I thought that was so far down the line. I'm 56 now. And it's like 6 years past the date we had thought about. And I'm like, I'm blown past that now. I am in the perfect place in my life. If Warner Brothers understood and would take a chance on a nobody like me and let me play that role, I guarantee I could identify with that character so much and really get it. And a really funny part about that movie is Sandy told me, said, Clark, you need to understand something. When you put on this Batman outfit, you need to become Batman. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting there, and as an athlete, I understand this transitional process that you need to go through. And I'm putting it on. We used Under Armour. That was when Under Armour was nobody. It was like an opportunity for Under Armour. They were giving me free stuff. They were giving you free stuff. They were nobodies then. So they sent me some cold weather tights, and they were gray. They looked like Batman. So we turned Under Armour into Batman's clothes. So I'm putting that on. They put the cape on. Last thing I do is put the cowl on. And this is shoot day. Everything's ready out there. Cameras, fake rain, whole entire crew. The whole place is quiet. I put this cowl on, Monica. I pull it over my head. I get situated. It's on. I'm ready to go. And I start walking out. Sandy, the director, walks up to me and he starts giving me direction. He's like, okay, when the so-and-so hits you, I need you to do this. And I just stared at him. He's like, I need you to do this. He's like, do you understand? And I just stared at him. I didn't say a word. And I walked away, and I walked onto set, and I could hear him in the background go up to Anita and go, did I piss Clark off or what? And I remember her saying, she goes, that's not Clark. It's Batman.
That's so
Batman
fun.
in that moment, I'm like, Batman wouldn't answer this stupid question. Batman doesn't need to be told what to do. Shut up and get out of my way. And I literally became that character in that moment. And I walked out, and I heard people say this, oh my God, is that Batman? That really looks like Batman.
Yeah.
It was on. It was great. I'm like freaking out thinking about it right now.
Yeah. Well, I'm like, I feel all emotional about it because I hear it in your voice. That had to be really a really fun piece. And, you probably made people second guess, hey, Batman really is real.
Maybe he is.
Maybe
you never know.
Yeah. Did you get to keep any of the costume?
I didn't get to keep any of that. And people ask me all the time to kind of put it on. And that's something that until that day happens, I'm not even going to. I've had multiple people ask me to play Batman in their version. And I said, I can't. I can't do it because I understand the level of this, the respect that you need to have for this iconic character that people love so much and actually believe in, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I respect it now. And I really wasn't like a comic book guy before that, but now I totally get it. So
that's so cool. Well, I think it'd be kind of interesting if you had some Batman reality Instagram and you kind of did some of these stories here and there. Of course, that takes a lot of effort, but it'd be fun.
I would do it.
Or
TikTok is a
TikTok.
fun, right? We have fun.
TikTok.
Then we got to pay after that. So that was,
That's awesome. So I want to talk a little bit. Well, I mean, there's so much here, and normally we try to keep it right at an hour, but I want to go a little bit over because I really feel like you have so much to share. I want to talk a little bit about your ministry. You've done in-prison ministry. I know you've worked with Billy Graham and your church. So share a little bit about what that is like, and because that's pretty massive to be in that role.
yeah, it's very humbling to think of that. And I was talking about it yesterday with a guy that I met online on TikTok, of all places, called me. But I was Franklin Graham's right-hand man, and I worked for the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association and Operation Starting Line for Chuck Colson, who was a Nixon administrator who went to jail for the crimes that he did during the Watergate scandal. So that was an honor to work for that man. And I had the opportunity. I've been in probably 100, 150 prisons around the country, everywhere from death row to work release, and talk to men and women who, it's so interesting, Monica, because, we go into that environment with such fear and such, like, we project these thoughts and images onto people because of where they're at. And that can be on both sides of the spectrum. If someone's sitting in corporate America, or if someone's sitting in prison, we project an image onto these people that isn't always true. Mm-hmm. And I learned that there were a lot of people in there for things that weren't fair, weren't just. A lot of people needed to be in there and never come out. Trust me on that. But there were also people in there. I remember a guy specifically that I sat down and talked to, and he had a neighbor that was coming over and bothering him. And at least his part of the story was, I told the guy to get away a bunch of times. And one time he just got in my face, and I got mad and I hit him, and he fell down and hit his head on a rock and he died. And he was in there for manslaughter, and his lawyer didn't really defend him right. So now he's angry. So this guy was violent. When I walked in, he was in a glass cage up on the second floor. He pulled out all the caulking in it, and he poured a Hawaiian punch into the crack, and he would punch the window and the juice would squirt out. So when we walked in, he saw us, he did his thing, and he was squirting juice on us from the second floor. And then me and my buddy were sitting across. He's like, "Hey, preacher man, come over here." And he's up there crazy in this box. And I'm looking at my buddy and I'm like, "You go." And he's like, "I'm not going, you go." And I'm like, "Screw it, I'll go." So I march up there and I get beyond that toughness, and this guy's a human who had a thing. And here's another really good story. I was in an administrative segregation, which is the bad of the bad, in a level 5 supermax prison. So these are the bad people. The CO, the correctional officer, says, "Look, don't go down the hallway. That guy down there is an absolute jerk. Everyone hates him. He hates everyone. Where does Clark go?" I marched my little stupid butt down to the end of the hallway. And when you go up to these cells, you approach it like it's someone's house with respect. You don't just walk up and look in. So I'm kind of peeking in. I'm going down on the way to this guy. This is a true story. I'm going to this guy, and I'm passing all these people, and I get to this guy. I'm like, "Hey, bud, you want to talk to anybody?" He was doing push-ups on his bed. He had his feet on his bed and his hands on the ground. He's doing push-ups. I'm out here, and he looks over at me like he wants to kill me. And I'm like, "Oh, man." But he's doing push-ups, and he's got a magazine on the ground, and he's doing push-ups to this workout in the magazine. He looks down, he goes, grabs the magazine, looks at it, looks at me, turns it around, and says, "Is this you?" It was 8 pages of me in Muscle and Fitness. This horrible person that everyone hated in this level 5 supermax and administrative segregation was doing my workout routine in Muscle and Fitness, an 8-page layout.
Oh my goodness, Clark.
Instantly, the walls went down. This guy and me were best friends because I was a celebrity to him.
Aww.
And I go back to the CEO. He's like, "Well, what happened?" I'm like, "Hey, we're buddies. He loved me."
Could you actually sign his magazine or anything like that? I mean, would they let you?
No, he didn't have a pen or any of that kind of stuff.
Oh,
it was just, it's so insane for me to even tell that story. Because
it's gotta be.
Out that 8 pages is a whole nother story behind that, and it's so amazing. So that is just one of many. Another one fascinating. I was on death row. There was an old black man. Hey, preacher man, come over here, preacher man. So I walk over and I think he's like, I got a question to ask you, boy. And I'm like, yes, sir. Yellow eyes, red, yellow. And he's standing in there and he's hands on the freaking bars like in a movie. He's like, I got a question. I'm thinking he's going to ask me, what's going to happen to him when he dies. I have no answers for this man. None. I'm at a complete loss, scared to death. And he says, how do I get abs? I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? This guy's on death row and he wants to know how to get abs. That's how vain we are as people, man.
Wow, Clark, that's just unbelievable. So what when you were in the prisons, are you talking to them as a group, or like how does that look?
Yeah, it's like a big variety show. So I would be the MC typically, and I would do feats of strength like blowing up hot water bottles, ripping phone books, bending horseshoes. Matter of fact, I got a scar in my hand. A horseshoe went through my hand. And so then I would have a comedian, a singer, a former inmate. So each one of us would get like 20 minutes, and we would just kind of thread the gospel in there, and then at the end give an altar call for these guys to come up and give their life to the Lord. And it was really neat because I was so unequipped and I had no clue what I was doing when I first went in. I was scared to death. But once again, I was just obedient. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do this, man. I don't know what. I got to really lean into something bigger than me. And I think that's the message that people really understand. When we feel inadequate in life, we got to lean into our source that's bigger than us and just trust that the answer is going to be there for you writing your book. Whatever fears you have, you got to lean in to God and understand that you're fine. Everything's going to be okay. So, that's really what I learned in that. And it was such a beautiful time. I did it for like 6 years, and I got story after story. I put a horseshoe through the palm of my hand. I was bending a horseshoe, and I had like 600 guys in a room, and I'm bending it, and I got it around, and it goes, you know how hard a horseshoe is, Monica. I mean, so I got this thing. It was a Breckenridge number 3. That was what I would bend. And I get it around. So I thought, in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to turn this into a heart, and I could come out with a really good message, right? So while I'm doing this, I go over the top to push it around, and I hear pop, and I'm like, oh no, that just went through my hand. So I'm holding my hand like this, and I can feel the warmth of blood going down my arm. And I knew it was bad. I peeked down. I'm like, oh, crap, my hand's full of blood. I got 600 murderers and monsters and scary people in front of me, right? I'm like, guys, my part of the show's over. I got to go because I just cut my hand. I go like this, and blood, plop, hits the ground. And these guys are like, ah, just freaked out. I'm like, man, you guys get stabbed in here, and you're worried over a little bit of this? So they take me to the infirmary. I'm in there, and the nurse says, hey, do you want us to take you to a free world hospital or sew you up in here? I'm like, sew me up in here. I want the treatment. I'm in prison. Treat me like an inmate. So this nurse brings out this big curved needle and goes to stick it in my hand. I'm like, hold up, wait, give me some Novocaine. They're like, no, we don't give these guys Novocaine in here. If they stab each other, they're getting sewn up. They're lucky to get sewn up. So I'm like, well, I don't want the full treatment. Give me half of it.
You're funny. I don't want the full treatment.
No, I'm like half an inmate. Work release.
Oh my goodness. Well, back when we used to get fan mail like all the time and had boxes and boxes, a lot of fan mail came from prison inmates. And I had in my study Bible, I tore a page out of my study Bible that I used to have, and it was about how Paul wrote. It was about spending your time wisely. And it talked about how Paul wrote 9 books of the Bible in prison. And it was just this, like, maybe 3/4 of the page. I tore it out. I made a ton of copies of it. And then whenever I got prison mail, I would handwrite to the prisoner back, and I would write their name, and I would just have some sort of message that was short and simple that showed I did read their letter. I appreciated them writing to me and supporting my career. And I would return this letter. I would always say, I hope that this makes a difference in your life. And I had, out of all the mail that I sent back, because, you know, I would send mail back. So I'd pay for the postage and all that. I had one guy come to me one time at the Arnold Classic, and he came up to me out of the blue. You know, he's waited in my line, and he was so cute. He was just like, I know you're not going to remember me, but you sent me a return letter I was in prison, and you sent me a return letter, and it talked about, you know, he explained about the letter that I sent him with, you know, the information from the Bible. And he said it made such a difference in his life. And he said that he had straightened his life out, and it was so cool. You know, every once in a while I hear from him still today, but it was a really cool opportunity to just know that at least one person responded, that it made a difference, that all the time I took to do that. It's cool. I love your story. I love that your heart was there to go and minister to these people and not forget them. They are, you know, sometimes forgotten, but that's awesome. I love that story. Those are good stories, and your hand is healed up, so no issues with that hand, right?
Oh, it's good.
Oh, good.
Sorry there for the memory.
Well, you've done so much. I think the last thing I want to kind of talk about a little bit is just, you know, what is your take on keeping yourself or somebody our age, like, what are the most important things with being healthy? And in this day and age, like, how do we avoid all the temptations of food and drinks and social, and, you know, what does that look like for you? How do you talk to people about that? And what do you feel? I know you said collagen was important to you, so maybe just touch on a little bit of that part.
You know, people always ask me, Monica, they would say, how do you stay motivated? And the first thing I tell them is I like to let them off the hook, because you and I have made a living out of this. Literally, we have never had a job. For the last 30 years, you have not had a job. You've made a living off of the genetics that your beautiful mother right there next to you has blessed you with, and you turned it into what I referred to earlier as an empire. And you have inspired people all the way down to this inmate who said, man, you sent me back this letter. And we don't do that. So what I tell people is, look, this is not your job. So I couldn't come into your job and perform it to the level that you do. But if you train me long enough, I could certainly learn it enough to be capable at it. So I'd like to let people off the hook and knowing, please don't compare yourself to me. Not that I'm any better, but this is all I do. If I don't look like this, no one's going to listen to anything I have to say. So then it goes into, you know, there's a difference between motivation and commitment. People really need to understand that. You can be motivated after a church sermon or a Tony Robbins event until the guy cuts you off and you cuss him out, and then you're not motivated anymore until some pizza comes along or something. But if you're committed to a lifestyle, if you're committed to a way of living, then it's different, because if you're not motivated, you still get up and go out and do it because you understand the benefits of the activity that's required to do that. So with that in mind, I then cruise into the next thing. Everyone talks about determining your why. And people have all of these great theories on how to get to a why. I'll give you a good why. Anyone that needs a why on to treat your body right, you've got one body. It's a gift. You're a steward of that body, and it's your responsibility to live in it healthy. So then I determine and to help them understand what healthy is. Even Monica Brant's body, as beautiful as it is not perfect. And she'll be the first one to tell you. You know, so we put these images of other people and we have these expectations of ourselves to either be in our 23-year-old body or look like somebody else who makes a living from that. And it puts unnecessary pressure, which causes hormonal responses. So give yourself a break, man, and realize that your why is because you've got a gift. Your body's the most organic organism. It's the most adaptive organism on the known universe. So if you treat it beautifully, it's going to respond beautifully. If you treat it crappy, it's going to respond crappy. It's up to you. You got a choice. It's pretty basic. And when you do mess up, not if, but when you do mess up, don't beat yourself up. It's okay. And walk into the mirror as quickly as you can. Look into your eyes. The Bible says the eyes are the window to the soul. I don't think most people have looked into their own soul in a long time, and just have a beautiful conversation with yourself and let yourself off the hook and tell yourself how awesome you are. And then it becomes a lot more fun to go along the journey, because the destination is such a moving target. It never comes up. You know, you never hit it.
I love that. I have so many people that come to me and they're like, so I don't want to get on stage, but I just want to look like I get on stage. And I'm like, that's so big. It's such a big goal, right? And I have to try to bring people back from that place, because unless you have that goal, I don't know that most people can get to that level without having that goal. Because people,
look what Claire just said right here. Did you see Claire Marie's comment about you, Mo?
I saw that. My mom pointed it out, and I just haven't had the chance to come back to that yet, but it's pretty amazing. Claire, I don't even know what to tell you, except I'm honored. And like Clark said, it's not something that was me. It was just me being obedient. And I remember back in even 95, I guess, when I had like my first article come out in Muscle Mag, and I had an article come out in Perillo Performance. Remember John Perillo?
Yeah.
Yeah. And both of them, I talked about my faith, and I talked about heaven and hell. And I look back and think, wow, they just printed exactly what I said. They didn't change anything. They didn't censor it. It was out there for whoever read Muscle Mag, or, I was, So Claire, that is beautiful.
No one did that then. You were like a pioneer in that, honestly, because people were afraid to say the wrong thing so they wouldn't get in a magazine again.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Well, I always feel like, God gives us a platform if we will speak his truth, and if we're doing what he's calling us to do. And even like you said, if we make mistakes, because I have made enough mistakes. I always make mistakes, but it's really about where our heart is, and how we feel that God's able to use us, and how we're allowing him to use us. And it always goes back to our heart condition, always. And I love what you said. What comes out of our eyes and our mouth is what's in our heart. And that's really beautiful, Claire. I need to have a picture of that and save that forever, because that's really special. And that it's just bigger than even words right now can say. That's really amazing. Wow. Thank you, Kona. It looks like maybe Kona's taking a picture of the whole thing.
Right now.
Yeah. Can you get a shot of the whole thing? Claire, I'd love to have a chat with you another time and visit with you. That's such a special, special thing. And I don't want to take that lightly. So it's pretty cool. But so Clark, I know, we've kind of had the big picture. Let's bring it in just a little bit. What are your top tips for yourself? Like, what are the things that you do? How do you keep your physique? I know you train hard, but are there any eating tools? Do you do keto, fasting? Do you eat a lot all the time? Like, are you taking in more protein, less protein? What are your kind of top things that you're doing for yourself right now? Because I'm sure everybody is curious.
Yeah. I've come to a place in my life, and you're going to really get this, and people like Wendy Fortino will get this, who's watching. Mm-hmm. I'm very instinctive. I know my body so well. I could literally sit here right now and think about putting blood in this bicep and making that vein get bigger with blood just from thinking about it. I'm that connected with my body. So when I eat, I don't follow any macros. Like, macros were never a word for us back then, right? Mm-hmm. And prepping and all these things. It just wasn't a part of our vernacular. So when we got ready for something, we just ate protein and carbohydrates and maybe cut out a little bit of sodium. That was our protocol back in the day. So I've never really been one to follow any specific routine unless I had a coach give me a program. And what was her name? Kathy Sasson.
Yeah, I worked with Kathy too.
Yeah, I still have Kathy Sasson's protocol that she wrote for me in there in 2 journals, IntraFit journals. They're in there. So unless a coach gave me something to follow, I didn't follow it. I just listened to my body. So now I'm so in tune with myself, my training, my resting, my nutrition, my mental preparation is all very instinctive. I can sit back and tune into my body, even to the point of training. The 2 clients that I have, they say, Clark, you don't even really plan out a workout session, do you? And I'm like, no. People might think I'm nuts, but I don't care. When I walk past the machine and I'm with my client, it speaks to me. It all speaks to me because I'm connecting with my person. I'm watching them. I'm looking at things and I'm like, we need to do this right now. Mm-hmm. Why? Because I sensed it. I felt it. I saw it. I connected to it. So that's the way I am with myself too.
Well, I love that because that's how I train too. I rarely, unless, like you said, unless I had a coach that had something for me. Otherwise, I'm very much the same. If I go to the track and have a workout out there, because so many people are like, what do you do on the track? I'm like, it's different every time. It depends on how I go out there and what I feel like doing. But there's always a big warm up that I prepare, and then I, just kind of feel how I feel. And same thing with the workout in the gym. So I love that. How do you feel about fasting, intermittent fasting? Do you do any? Do you have anybody that you use that with?
So I have an opinion on that. I think humans intermittent fast by nature of being a human. And somebody marketed it really well because it's nothing new. It just happens. We looked at it as a bad thing before, like, oh, you're not eating. You intermittent fast because you get too busy, because you don't think about it, because you don't have food, whatever. And then all of a sudden you eat within these windows. But some smart person, no different than Bill Phillips, being the marketing genius he was back in the EAS days, took this whole concept and turned it into Body for Life. That was nothing new. Intermittent fasting is not new at all. Some smart person turned it into something positive instead of something negative. Does it work? Sure. But the cabbage soup diet works too. The freaking, I don't know. I mean, drink your own pee diet will work.
Ew.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it goes back to the human body being the most adaptive organism on the known universe. Here's what it comes back to. Everybody write this down. Sustainability. If you can't sustain it for more than 12 weeks, then don't do it.
Yeah. That's what I've always said to people too. It's like, we got to find something, got to find a program that works for your routine. I always like to call that a routine, right? Because especially for women, like, you guys have a couple things, but women, we have a hair routine and skin and makeup, and we don't want to have to wake up every day and think, well,
Michael Hearn has the same thing, so it's not just for women.
Hey, Mike's on next week, so you'll have to come on and
I said that.
harass him a little bit on the comments. But it's like we don't, but so many people don't live like that with their food. They're random, and that's what the big problem is people are just so random and all over the place, and they leave their house and they don't think about what they're going to want to eat, or they just dig whatever's out because they're just hungry and whatever's easy. I mean, and I think the biggest problem for people is just the randomness and not really having some consistency for longer than 2 days. So yeah, cool. And then of course, you and I were in the same boat growing up with the fitness, where all we ever heard was you got to eat every 3 hours or 2 hours. Well, when you're a professional athlete, that works really well. And when I started hearing about fasting, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to shrivel up and die, and my muscles are going to go away, but it hasn't. But what I've learned over this last 10 years or so is how to eat according to what my exercise needs, what I need if I'm doing sprints or if I'm not working out, or, I try to eat surrounding what my fitness needs. And so I guess that's what I've always done, but now it's different because I'm not, out there competing in something athletic, which I miss, but maybe someday I'll get back to it after I write my book. Come first. Okay. Let's look at a couple of questions here. John Butler says, I get motivated just watching the episode. Maybe Clark's next book could be the Batman workout.
Let's go. Okay.
I love it. Hey, that's cool. I have workouts that I call Wonder Woman workouts because all the girls got scared if I said a sprint workout. So I called it Wonder Woman workout because everyone wants to be Wonder Woman, right? So the Batman workout, that's fun. I like it. Do you remember John Butler?
Yes, I do. When I saw that picture pop up, I'm like, I know this guy, and I saw the name. I was trying to figure out,
Canadian. Yeah, he was with Muscle Mag back in the day. It's so fun to see some of these people. And Wendy, I see you. I haven't been able to look at all of your messaging here. So I'm so thankful Wendy's on. She was with me last week, and we had so much fun visiting last week. So Wendy, thank you so much for coming back on tonight. Let me just peek over here. Victor, amen to that. I'm sorry, I have to look over here because I can't see the screen in front of me, my eyesight. Amen to that. It is just, again, my terms that society has jumped on, but actually implementing their, yes, for daily life. Yes, yes, yes. Well, I really appreciate, Clark, all of your great information, your enthusiasm, and your pep talk, your big, giant pep talk.
I'm excited for you, Monica. I'm excited for you to teach the world how to live radiantly.
Oh, you're going to make me cry, so thank you. I'm easy. I'm an easy target, though. I get water eyes easily. But I really do appreciate it so much. And you guys, thank you for joining tonight. I don't know if anyone else has any specific questions for Clark. Mom's looking. Thank you both. Enjoyed the episode. Thank you, Kyle Williams. Appreciate you very much. Thank you for sharing and commenting. And I'm going to have to go back on later and check out all the comments and get back to people. But thank you guys for playing our games, and Victor and Scott for the big wins of the night. And we'll circle back with you guys and get that book over to Victor. Signed, sealed, and delivered. Ah, there's my oldie. Yep, there I am. Maybe, Victor, you can ship it to me and I'll sign that page and send it back. So very fun, very fun. Thank you, Clark, so much for your wisdom, your enthusiasm. I know you've got stuff to do tonight that's not just here talking to me all night, so I'm going to have to let you go. Thank you to our sponsors, Legendary Foods. You guys, if you haven't gone to check them out yet, please do. They have got some really, really tasty pastries that are just like healthy Pop-Tarts. So don't be shy going and checking them out. Egg White International, your liquid gold protein delivered straight to your door. And BodyScape Magazine, Picture Group Photography. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And Clark, you're a blessing to me and to so many. So please give a big hug to Anita and tell your kiddos hi for me. I look forward to talking to you and catching up with you soon. You guys just want to make sure you guys remember I am doing my live workouts Wednesday night. So tomorrow night I've got a live workout. And then Saturday morning as well. And Clark, I just had one last thing for you. Con, if you can just bring him back in. Clark, do you have anything you want to say before we let you go the rest of your night?
No, I just want to say thank you, Monica, for this opportunity. As you can see, I'm, a little short on enthusiasm and excitement to do this kind of stuff. But you pulled it out of me, and you've given me another platform to speak to people. So I don't ever want anyone to think that I take any of this for granted. I don't, and I'm so happy that I have the opportunity to reconnect with my longtime friend Monica, and I'm just so grateful for this. And I just wish you all the best with this show, because you're doing a really good.
Thank you, Clark. And then lastly, can you just tell people where they can find you if they haven't found you yet on your website and your social tags?
Yeah, just go to my website, clarkbartram.com, and all my social tags are at Clark Bartram. Felt no need to create a different handle because I am me.
And I know on your website you've got equipment that you're selling, all of your books, you've got some fun t-shirts there, and your coaching programs are there, so everyone can find out how to get hold of you, those guys that probably need some of your coaching. So you guys go check out Clark on his website and social media and hook up with him for a couple sessions, and you'll be producing a bunch of little Clark Bartrams around.
I am launching a testosterone boosting program for men over 50. So I want everyone. I've been working on the supplement, Monica. I've been working on the videos, and it's called the Nanotest Performance System for Men. And that's a whole different show, but I just want to let everyone know that that's on the way. Be ready for it. I'm going to have a sign-up list soon for the first 100 guys. They're going to be founders. They're going to be in the inside group. It's my life's purpose right now.
I love that. My husband's turning 50 next year. I'm 50 this October, and he's 50 in April. So it'd be fun to have him in tune to that and getting all the secrets.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Clark. It's fun. It's been a really fun evening. Thank you. I know we've gone over a little bit, so everyone, thank you for tuning in, staying with us. And Clark, just thank you again. Hugs and blessings to your family. Air hugs across the way. Bye, everybody. Have a great night. See y'all next week. Same time. Micah Hearn's on next week.
We're excited to be here at the LA Fit Expo. It's our third year in a row. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs. And we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
This has been a Kona Cam production. Thanks for watching. Tune in next time.